Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2 with the former world champion and the most Terran player out there. In the blue, it's Micro Jackson ByuN. Facing off against the Zerg player voted most likely to raise by blood pressure. In the red, the underling, it's SHIN. In a best of 3 Terran versus Zerg showdown between SHIN's reckless aggression and ByuN's reckless everything else. It'd be awesome if you give me just a little bit to start and smash that like button and maybe even subscribe. Help me count the algorithm. And Jimmy, what are we at? No, you try harder. 1,642 likes on this video, on this cast, and I'll cast another one. And I'll probably do it anyways, because I don't know what else I'd do with my life. But thank you for watching. Hopefully you've had a good day so far. And hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better. SHIN starting things off with a good old-fashioned Zerg Rush. Pool for 6lings on the way across the map. Reaper rejected by the Queen. Drawing fire and also buying some time. And now there's 2 Marines on the high ground. The boys are going to have to be pulled off the line. The Zerglings are inside. The SCV has managed to escape. The Reaper's on the other side of the map. That first SCV will be boxed out for now. Some more of the boys are pulled. Reaper headed back across the map. But ByuN manages to avoid taking any losses here so far. He knows that there's no real threat of Zergling speed on the way. He got in with the Reaper, and now it hunts down the Zerglings to extinction. I take it back. A couple survived for now, and they'll reproduce from there. That's not how that... Moving on. Third command center's on the way as ByuN taking this all in stride and striding forward economically. SHIN has his third base on the way. He clearly wasn't intending on this being a game-ending move. A game-starting move it barely was as well, as all that's left is one incredibly traumatized SCV and a bit of an awkward start to this GSL match. So, Reactored Hellions on the way. ByuN so far off. Oh, it's not even gonna... Yeah. I don't know what I expected. Like, was he gonna go... No. Marines. Alright, Marines. And then, ByuN, his favorite transition is usually into more Marines. And then after that, if we're lucky, we'll see even more Marines. And then some medevacs and marauders. And if we have to go past that point, things have already gotten crazy. And honestly, half the time, even if he should, ByuN doesn't always make it much further than that. Double engineering bay is on the way, the Hellions. And that Reaper is back, as the Queens will be in position to deal with it. Popping out some of the creep tumors, and now just checking the perimeter, making sure they're not trying to sneak in, sneak by. Usually they don't really sneak, they just go so fast the Queens can't catch up. Not known for their agility, but... speaking of, Evolution Chamber block canceled, but enough to make sure that the Hellions don't get any further. Alrighty, 3 racks online. Reactors on 2 of them. Starport on the way. Double medevac will, of course, be the choice. Complementing and enabling those Marines with their drugs and their guns. And helping them across the map. And ByuN has opted for +1 armor only. I think he didn't quite have enough for the +1 infantry weapons upgrade. So... Queens take out one of the Hellions. Now notices. Meanwhile, SHIN with the double Baneling Nest play. Alright, decoy Baneling Nest, a tried and true strategies for players who completely forgot. The beauty of it is he built them within like 5 seconds of each other. Those Baneling Nests are, okay, maybe 10. But clearly, great minds think alike, and there's multiple within SHIN's head right now, which would explain a lot of things. So, classic double Baneling Nest opener. It's not a huge expense, it's more indicative of the current state, mentally, of the game. We'll see if he notices. I do like the idea that it's a much higher than 0 chance that ByuN will snipe off one of them and think he has a timing, and then SHIN just morphs another 30 Banelings. Alright, we're gonna play it off like it's a good long-term strategy, but here come the Marines. Double medevac overhead. And SHIN has already pushed that creep out quite far. 4 Queens. Kind of a synchronized creeping there, which... Thought that was just... Nope. The Marines on the edge, just trying to control the perimeter, but SHIN has done a great job with that. I think using the... Well, ByuN didn't go for a bench. He didn't really lean on the Hellions, which means there was nothing to slow down the creep, to keep the queens back and keep them from the perimeter of the Zerg base. And that means now SHIN has a Hydraless den already on the way. 67 drones. 5th hatchery in production. I wouldn't be the least bit surprised to see a macro hatch momentarily as well. So with that double drop all set up, one of the medevacs already taking a few knitting needles, but the other one at full HP. Baneling speed nearly completed. Here comes some siege tanks with the army as well. Few Zerglings trying to slip by behind it. ByuN has built the wall to keep the Zerg out, but it's a bit of a temporary one. He's got some reinforcements back at home to deal with it. Siege tank set up. Expeditionary force trying to get something done. Baneling speed is completed. I don't think SHIN's going to have enough time to get 1-1 before ByuN makes serious issue of it. The hatchery is under fire in every sense of the word. Zerglings coming back from the counterattack to look for the flank. Hatchery taking heavy hits in the red. Here come the Banes rolling through. Creep being used to the last second. Rolls into the Marines, chases them back. They'll expect some of us in the wreckage from us. And the siege tanks are taken down as well. SHIN cleans the field for now. Overall, ByuN getting a decent trade, but SHIN having 5 hatcheries at this stage of the game is an even more decent one. It doesn't matter how much you lose if you can replace it with even more. Thing is, that hatchery is permanently damaged. It's going to take more than probably the time we have in this game to heal up to full, if it ever makes it there. Meanwhile, another double drop along the right flank. Reinforcements following it up. 2-2 on the way for ByuN. Notably, SHIN does not have a Hive nor 2-2 upgrade, so ByuN is going to get more and more progress done with the same amount of Marines and siege tanks behind. SHIN kept his forces in position in order to box out on that left side, but that means he has less to crush the attack on the right. ByuN with some classical Marine tank play, and SHIN with some solid Hydraling Bane defense, even mixing in some Widow Mines now. ByuN looking to diversify that unit composition, as variety is the spice of life, and we all know the spice must flow. And ByuN picks up, gets out. The creep continues to spread across, though SHIN has clearly struggled to get it off to the sides near his bases. ByuN making a concerted effort to deal with it there, but so far has only been able to push it back a small percentage of the time. Infestation pit on the way. Lurker Den. As you can tell, SHIN is angling towards that supreme late game composition, looking to eviscerate the Marines, cut through the siege tanks, and knock out the planetary fortresses. The double drop. Spore in position. Boost pass. Meanwhile, main army over to the right flank. Nearly 200 supply apiece. Hydralings and Banes not going to be enough. Double drop completely knocked out of the sky. 16 Marines and 2 medevacs wiped from the field, but much more than that over to the right side. A series of explosive breadcrumbs, aka Widow Mines, on the right side. The creep is not extended out past the hatchery at all. Without lurkers, or an overwhelming amount, there's 106 Zerglings on the ground. That number's about to get a lot lower. Splits off against one of the Widow Mines. The second one, the split is not nearly as good. Oh. Couple lurkers on the way, and even without the range upgrade, he's trying to drag the mines in, and he does so. Banelings connecting as well, but the stutter step back, getting some decent hits. There's not enough room in the lifeboats for all. Well, there was. They just didn't run fast enough, and that's on them. Takes out a couple of the Widow Mines. Hive is nearly completed. 4th base, though, for ByuN. 5th base on the way. A full macro game. Planetary Fortress in production, overrunning the siege tank. Marauders are on the field. Ghosts, a distant dream. A nightmare, depending on who you ask. But both players trading blows and neither one able to land anything important. Concussive Shells is on the way. Now following up those upgrades, and you know what upgrade SHIN isn't getting? Yeah, you guessed it. Tunneling Claws. And also Adrenal Glands, the most important attack speed upgrade for Zerglings in the entire game. It's almost as much DPS as all 3 melee attack upgrades combined, especially against units like Marines, and even to an extent, Marauders. It really depends on the armor. The math, the numbers don't lie, and they spell disaster for you, Shin. But a lurker at the back is going to make things more difficult. 3 ghosts, 4 ghosts in production, as ByuN is hardening his shell. Shin spreading his creep. And still not researching adrenal gland. Lurkers will burrow down. They have the range, not the burrow speed yet. Widowmines thin things out, but not enough to stop the Banelings from incidentally crashing into the planetary. Lurker slices through. Another attack to the north side. Shin, 2 for 1. Well, really, it cost him on both fronts. But it will cost ByuN a planetary as he takes one from right off the shelf and plops it right back down. No longer a display command center, but instead an effective one at that. The snipes are interrupted, but the ghosts just auto-attack, and that works just fine. Zerglings and Banelings being expended across the board, but it doesn't matter if Shin is cost-effective if he is effective. And with this amount of lurkers and the sheer amount of resources he's willing to wield like a sledgehammer to economically smash into ByuN, well, he may just be able to do exactly that. The Widowmine scattered throughout the field. 3-3 now completed for ByuN. A long way off for Shin, who has 1-2 in melee attack, now working on 2-3. Nidus, oh my. Some more crimes being committed by the Widowmines out in the field, but is it really a humanitarian atrocity if they're not human? Deep thoughts with the deep. Building armor and high-sec auto tracking on the way. More CCs than a poorly formatted corporate email chain right now for ByuN, as 4 more are in production. Shin, though, has his entire half of the map looking for those hatcheries down the center. The economies are massive, the army's dangerous, and the stress level is high. Wondering if Shin will ever get adrenal glands. Meanwhile, a fleet beacon. No! I'm sorry, Pavlovian. Fusion core is on the way for ByuN, clearly distracted by the drama as well, as he loses a chunk of his Marines and Marauders on the field. Widowmines will burrow down. But again, a brawl between these two very macro-oriented players. Shin, why are you like this? I don't understand. Help me understand. Like and subscribe so I can afford mental health insurance. Is that a thing? My American is showing. Liberator's on the way. Nidus is using like a Brood War Nidus style. Defensive. Well, and aggressive. Nidus is all over the place. All right. Certainly not having any network connectivity issues, but the lurkers are gunned down. The Nidus might be taken out, but it distracts for long enough with the Zerglings. Even the drone's looking to get in on the action. Another Nidus is on the way. Melee attack level 2 about to complete, alongside not adrenal glands. A Nidus is being used to transfer between the bases, and for lurkers, the Nidus is outside the 4th base, but I think that's a smart choice. A scan, yep, that's an Overseer. Advanced ballistics on the way for ByuN. He queues up Caduceus Reactor behind because he appreciates those late game upgrades. Shin, with 6, is he going to do the Oversight Committee? This man will build dozens of Overseers before getting adrenal gland. I can't tell if it's just to upset me. I choose to believe it is, because in order to do this job, you have to be at least a little bit narcissistic. Like and subscribe if you... Wow, 3 orbital commands, the satellite bases alongside the planetary fortress. That's no moon. It's your mother. Spire is on the... It's right next to the spawning pool. He had to look at it for a moment. Namaste. Namaste. 3 more hatcheries on the way, as Shin has lost nearly double the resources so far. He now has very much every base on his side of the map, and he's starting to work on ByuN's. Changelings across the board. Lings and Banes. 89 drones to 77. Oh my! The Widowmines hit hard. The Banelings roll through. SHIN doesn't kill the planetary. ByuN going for a world record of command centers. Oh, no. The lurkers are in the main, but the Terran army overruns them easily. He has 8 orbital commands, 2 planetaries. He's going up to 14 command centers. We're 16 minutes in. Are you kidding me? Obviously not. 4 liberators. More ghosts on the way. 13 ghosts, 3 liberators. There's no marines. We've cut marines out of the equation, which is the best way to counter changelings, by the way. If you have no marines, then you know all those marines are not what they seems. But so far, SHIN, he still has money in the bank, though he's a little lighter on the gas. 1K, 2K for ByuN, and the reverse for SHIN. 2 more starports in production. No adrenal glands as well. Meanwhile, another Whittle Mine. Takes a big chunk out of the Zerglings, but not big enough. As the Hydra's coming in, ByuN has bunkered down on his corner of the map, though SHIN breaks through down the center. The Overseer's overhead Hydra launch is on the way. Marauders and Ghosts. Oversight Committee overhead. He takes out the turret, which was bothering him. He's clearing out some of the Liberators with the Hydras behind. Ghosts will cloak and spread out that Baneling damage. More of these command centers will be taken down. Half a dozen Liberators in production simultaneously. 3 command centers. SHIN clearing out the front lines with quite an effective attack, as ByuN just doesn't have the forces to deal with it. The Changelings, the Nidus defense team in the main. This has become a pretty regular part of Terran versus Zerg, is a Nidus defense team to clear out any sort of incursions into the main base. And so far, quite an effective strategy at that. So ByuN now has, oh my, he's going to have 15 Liberators. Well. Liberation is at hand. More Lings and Banes. 93 Zerglings, 42 Banelings. No, he does have Burrow, but Baneling Mine's not very effective against Marauders and Ghosts, each of which take over 6 Banelings to destroy. So, I don't even know if you can hit 6 Baneling. I think you can, just barely. But Infestor's finally in production. Another Nidus to the north side. Is SHIN still wielding that economic sledgehammer? He does have a Spire. +1 flyer attack. +2 flyer attack is on the way before other certain upgrades, which will not be named. 11 more Overseers. And still... you know what? I'm fine with it. I'm okay. Like, adrenal glands is not that important. 40% attack speed on the unit you make sometimes literally thousands of? Doesn't matter. Rather make 11 units that can't even attack. Alright, that's better. That's just better. Okay? 100%. Meanwhile, just runs right through the liberation zones. The Overseer's overhead making things much more convoluted for everyone involved, but the Venn diagram of freedom is enough to zone things out. Changelings scattered throughout. A few of the Overseers will die. The Planetary is going to be taken out. 14 SCVs go down. There are 16 Liberators. Stop resisting, SHIN. +2 ship weapons. Oh, he meant to burrow. Okay. Just whips out an EMP, hits his own medevacs. As the same hotkey to burrow Widow Mines is the one to press EMP, assuming ByuN uses default hotkeys, which I'm going to assume, as he's played since 2010, so. No. The tower defense setup is here. Lings and Banes, and Lings. Corruptors overhead to sweep things from the field, but Vikings will join them in the production tab. Infestor popped out underground. He has more scans than a Costco self-checkout aisle. And yes, I would like to call for an assistant every 4 seconds. Okay, sure. That certainly seems like it expedites things. if we're doing pet peeves today. 8 orbital commands, another planetary, more Banes coming through. 1 lurker over to the left side. Scan comes out to deal with it. SHIN is successfully mining down the center, but ByuN has, if he can deny that 12 o'clock base, eventually double Nidus! Double Nidus! Which is over twice as effective as a single one. That did not work. Meanwhile, the changelings at the back. Technically, you could target Widow Mines on... Thank you, ByuN. I was just talking about that. Give me a moment. But, of course, Widow Mines cannot take out the Nidus Worms, one of their few weaknesses. Another planetary is taken down. Another set of adrenal glands not being researched. Lurkers in the main base, but the Nidus defense team will clear it up. ByuN with 155 army supply to 106. Both players nearly maxed out. SHIN's still on a huge amount of drones. He's lost 600 Zerglings, he's lost 20,000 more resources, and he's quickly losing my respect. But ByuN, on the other hand, is well within his turtle shell now. He's got command centers all over the place, planetary fortresses dotting the perimeter, orbital commands, the satellite bases around them. There's still full energy infestors on the back line. How many planetary? 5 planetaries dead. Not a single hatchery. SHIN has managed to keep all his bases once he's grabbed them. Notably 0 Vipers right now, which feels very relevant as we get further and further in. We might see our first hatchery go down 23 minutes in. SHIN gives up the base. +3 flyer attack is on the way. Turrets across the board. Whoa, a Congress of Corruptors will be taken down by the Ghost. 9 more Corruptors on the way, +3 flyer attack. Brenda! Transfuse. The Ghost! We'll go right into the units lost tab. The creep spread is workable, but this is certainly not trending in SHIN's direction. And if it continues this way, he's going to be in deep SHIN indeed. As a dozen Liberators, 10 Vikings, Infestor. Feels like he built Infestor because he knows he's supposed to, as opposed to because he wanted to, which is about 98% of Zergs. Meanwhile, the Banelings, but ByuN invented orbital command technology and realized he could avoid Banelings entirely by simply lifting. The turret's trying to get involved here. Which, I mean, they are involved. This is... The Corruptors don't care. They only have +1 Carapace, but... Well, okay, this is one of the weirdest, I'm gonna call it, fights. ByuN actually goes down 50 supply, and he can't replace it. He drops the mules for the stimulus package here, but SHIN is sending another wave of Zerglings in. If only they had... 779 Zerglings dead. And he's got hundreds more where that came from. There's still thousands of minerals as we inch closer to the bean counter phase of the game. But we're not there yet. ByuN building 10 SCVs at a time. An entire construction company of space construction vehicles. Making sure he has enough to mine gas across the board. And more importantly, raise the turrets per minute counter. The TPM, as we all know, incredibly important. Neural Parasite might be a critical upgrade here, alongside other potential upgrades. Oh my. The fact, like, he unburrows and then immediately dies to Liberators. I don't know what you expected, shit. Meanwhile, there are 13 ghosts, 7 Liberators overhead. I have no idea what SHIN expected to do with a... He knew the Liberators were there. He could see them. The Infestor was right under the Olympic rings of freedom. ByuN has maxed out 150 army supply, and he's kind of on the attack here. The Corruptors will help deal with the air army. The Ghosts going to deal with the Corruptors, and so the wheel turns. Both sides starting to run out of units to throw at each other. ByuN with the most infuriating Terran army possible. SHIN with the most wasteful. Hey, like, what are you doing? Oh yeah, here, have an infestor. What? SHIN. SHIN. Okay. SHIN. I can't. So I'll just take a breather, okay? $869 Zerglings. Here come the Corruptors overhead. Widowmines will thin out the Lings and Banes. Liberators sieging up. A musket line of ghosts. He has 18 ghosts. Oh, and who you gonna call, SHIN? Hydra's Lings and Banes are good, but trading 5-6 Baneling... Another volley of snipes. Fusillade of high-velocity rounds. And he's just dragging the snipes over everything. What is the plan? How does this end? ByuN does not have a huge amount left to work with. SHIN, though, has arguably less. And this is the late game. 15 mines, 9 liberators, 15 ghosts, a smattering of marine marauder. The ghosts retreating behind the lines, the corruptors overhead, but the liberators are thinning out the units underneath. Widow mines being dragged into the ghosts. Apparently that's the plan, as they retreat literally to the ends of the earth. The banelings rolling through. The corruptors wipe out the liberators. And SHIN manages something I'm going to very loosely call a victory in this fight. There are 18 corruptors. That is 36 supply. That means that SHIN's entire army supply lead is corruptors, but thankfully they are the natural predator of command centers in the air. And also they're not too bad against command centers on the ground, so I think SHIN is winning. Despite his best efforts, or because of them. You know, give him some credit here. He's kept up 650 APM, and it takes only 2 more to research Adrenal Gland. I just want to be clear. So the Adrenal Glands upgrades increases the attack speed of Zerglings by 40%. It costs 200, which is not cheap. Corruptors cost 150. He's lost 23 of those. He's lost 1,036 Zerglings, which, I'm going to crunch the numbers here, is more than 200 minerals. So, in not researching Adrenal Glands, I think he's put himself in a position where he may still win the game, thus proving that the upgrade is superfluous and unnecessary and should be removed. Am I right, my Terran friends out there? Just kidding. Terrans don't have friends. ByuN, 11 ghosts. His liberator count has been completely reset. He's lost 27 liberators, 43 widowmines, 47 ghosts. But not the game. Another infestor wandering into the turret line. That spread. I can't believe it's not butter. A greater spire is on the way. Brood Lords. Where did that bring you? Back to me. The widowmine is drawn out. ByuN has nowhere else to mine from. Here come the Lings and Banes. Ooh, widowmines connecting. The bio ball has reformed. The final form of Terran is once again Marines, Marauders, and whatever medevacs he can put together. ByuN desperate to get a few resources here. SHIN has enough in the bank for infestors. And that's about it. The double Nidus out of SHIN. What a game. And honestly, we're not really that close to a conclusion unless one of these players makes a massive mistake. There is the 12 o'clock base, which is being liberated currently. And that is why SHIN has not been able to take it. And ByuN, of course, if he can gather a mining location, he can strip it for parts and minerals within a relatively short amount of time with the mules. ByuN, where are you going with medevacs? It's a reflex. If nothing happens for too long, ByuN just picks up and he's like, it's dropping time. And there he goes, dropping again. I guess clearing up creep is helpful, but feels like splitting your forces at any point. 9 Brood Lords. Half a dozen infestors underneath. The final force. 70 Marines for ByuN. Somehow we've rolled all the way back around. The battle's fought with Liberators, Infestors, but Marines are back in force. And these Marines, well, a bit of an awkward engagement angle. The SHIN looking to clear it up, but he brings most of the ground army and some of the Corruptors with it. The Queens, the Infestors, the Brood Lords on the way. And the final assault. I say it because there's just no money in the bank left for either of them. They cannot perpetuate this fight. One more decisive battle should decide it. That's kind of what the term means, but the snipes are good. Infestors throw out some fungals to turn it around. EMPs hit most of the Infestors. Wings and Banes. The Bioball, though, the Ghosts are mostly drained of energy. SHIN trying to replenish. 3 more Brood Lords on the way. Honestly, well, ByuN doesn't really have the money for Vikings. The double drop is coming in again. SHIN, there's still a few hundred gas. This base to the south, the mineral patches are drying up across the board. The Sporest is marching forward. The last march of the Ents. Well, goes poorly. But a single fungal could end the game right here, right now, right here. He's trying to chase it down, but the Widow Mines thin out so much of the Ling Bane isn't enough. EMPs hit the Infestors, but there's nowhere left to retreat. He gets into the medevacs. ByuN's Dunkirk here, as he tries to retreat with everything he has left on this side of the map. The command center will lift and be taken down. The amount of mineral patches, but he did take out the base in the top left, but he could have used those Marines to fight this battle. There's a single Viking. There's no more Corruptors. Okay, he can't. 2 Vikings apparently is enough. I did say he couldn't really afford Vikings, but he could afford 2. Literally just 2. And there's no anti-air in the air. It's just the Hydras. That might be enough. Hydra Lunge has been done. I don't think he's used it the entire game. Might be able to snipe off one of the Brood Lords, but loses the Viking. The Bioball's fighting. There's no fungals. There's no Banelings. There's no splash damage. There's no way to stop the Bioball right now. The Infestors do not have the energy. The Broodlings, he's fighting with everything he has. Another Brood Lord is taken down. About 20 more seconds till he has fungals, and by then, it may very well be too late. ByuN is tearing through the rest of the Zerg. The Zerglings are trickling out, not able to scratch through the Marines and Marauders. Another Infestor pops out. He lines up the shots. Broodlord popped, splits against the fungal. Another Infestor. More Marines and Marauders are sprinting down. SHIN is dwindling in supply. ByuN, is there enough left? There's no resources on either side. 50 to 50 supply. The last Infestors, but the medevacs will heal the Marines. The last Brood Lord. ByuN wins. SHIN, what have you done? 1,305 Zerglings without Adrenal Gland. ByuN holds. 46 versus 42 supply is the final number. One of the most dramatic, yet I cannot help but say unnecessary endings to a game of StarCraft 2 I have ever seen. Never has it been more clear to me that SHIN has lost this game more than ByuN has won it. And that is taking a lot away from ByuN, who fought Tooth and Nail and Ghost and Liberator and Viking and Widowmine. And it's on the screen. You can see all the units. But SHIN, you want to know why you're just thought of as... Don't be mean. Well, you know what Cyril doesn't do? I need to stress. That upgrade, Adrenal Glands, is no question the reason why I lost the game. There was a lot of things that went into it. And I'm honestly glad he didn't, because that was one of the best games I've ever seen. It's just, I cannot, in good conscience, tell you that that was a great, incredible back-and-forth game without acknowledging the fact that SHIN was fighting like he was punching with 3 fingers. Alright? Instead of a steel-toed boot, he had some Crocs on those Zerglings. Okay? Like, he was not fighting with everything. ByuN knew where he was going with it from like the 10-minute mark, and he fought with that knowledge. But game 2. So I think, therefore I am. But a lot of people, and rightfully so, get upset when casters feel like they're criticizing players who would beat them 100 times out of 100, possibly with mouse only. But this is not up for debate. There's no question, no doubt, in my mind. And probably shouldn't be anyone. And that's just a mistake. And I can't help but keep coming back to it, even to do this meta commentary going into the second game, because it's so critical. I've released YouTube shorts directly targeted at SHIN in order to show the difference between, so essentially, 100 Zerglings versus 3/3 Marines. Without Adrenal Glands, the Marines win. Just A-moved, easily. With Adrenal Glands, the Zerglings win, decisively. It's a big difference. It scales so quickly. And yes, a lot of those fights, Zerglings aren't always able to attack. Like, they're just there to draw fire and die while the Banelings roll in. But also, it's not true that players move command Banelings. I mean, they don't A-move Banelings 90% of the time. Because Banelings, while they don't have much HP, they have some. And it's much better to let the Banelings die unless you can find a great target than it is to just A-move. Because then they'll hit the first target. That's part of the reason you can't use the auto-unburrow feature of Burrowed Banes, which you might not know even exists, and might as well not, because it's impractical. But the idea is to use those Banes as essentially an acidic shield in order to draw as much fire as possible before dying in a useful location, so things like Zerglings and Hydras can continue to get damage done. You'll see the Banelings roll. Sometimes you'll see Banelings kind of awkwardly rolling around in the fight. That's because, especially a player with 700 APM like SHIN, he is move commanding the Banelings, so they don't just attack move the first Marauder nearby, but instead get those juicy explosions that everybody loves to have. But still, what a game. What an experience. SHIN admitting that Infestor Broodlord is the way, but a little bit too little and a little bit too late. ByuN has been playing this tower defense style of Terran for a decade. He doesn't want to. I truly believe that ByuN would prefer to just play Marine Marauder medevac literally every game, all the time, no matter what. But he also likes winning. So he gets the Mass Command Center. He gets the Liberators. He gets the Ghosts and the Mines. And he still kind of plays it like that very mobile and across-the-board style. But you could even see, I think the drop It's hard to tell whether the drop made the difference at the very end of the game. I mean, so much led up to that. But he committed 20 of his very precious army supply to killing a hatchery that was already mined out. And Shin didn't even bother defending against it. He just outright didn't deal with it. And in the main fight, he almost lost the game because of it. There was one base left pretty much I don't think anyone even mined from that northern base on the map. The whole game. So. Well, we've got the 111. Barracks Factory Starport. Some fever dream of nostalgic past and over half of Raynor's life ago. Called it a Destiny Cloud Fist build. Which, you know. We need more. We need a dramatic name for a Zerg who opens up 3 hatcheries defensively. Okay, the, Alright, open to suggestions. I'm willing to crowdsource this one. Which is a nice way to say I'd appreciate free labor. Speaking of, 3rd command center down. Mules drop it. It's going to be uncloaked banshees, but still perfectly good against the Zerglings and forces an existential threat against the queens if you have the Hellions with them. Double engineering bay. Maru build. Wait, no. ByuN got his 3 racks up first. Maru's build in the DreamHack Finals was double NG Baby 4 barracks, which should be too greedy. But Solar was unable to punish it. Honestly, I think Shin would be better suited. Shin is more than happy to get aggressive. Maybe a little too happy. All right, we gotta restrict that happiness to nominal levels. That's what I always say. All right, hey, sir, this is the Hatchery Owners. This is restricted lair space. All right, and according to Hatchery Owner Association HOA regulations, you cannot be here. Brenda, stop quoting regulations to the Terrans. You know they can't read. They can read. Unfortunately. In fact, like, have you seen their manifestos? No. Sorry. I, blacked out for a moment. Infestation Pit is on the way. Roaches to box out. +1 ranged attack, +1 carapace. That might be the most Zerglings. If you include the Banelings, I have to consult SC2 replay stats, because Banelings that die, or that attack, don't enter the unit's loss tab. I believe it may have been the most Zerglings I've ever seen in a single game last game. Like, in a real tournament match. I'm actually going to go check that out. Jimmy, write that down. Meanwhile, this game, again, I'm still living in the past. But who isn't, right? Back in my day, life was... No, you can't say that! Right. Sorry. 5. In production. +1 ranged attack and carapace, but ByuN has those two upgrades started. Honestly, not too far ahead. Vipers, a very important part of dealing with this. Without Vipers, well, the Ravagers are holding... Whoa, 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 that's like... Is that worth? Well, he only loses 1 Ravager. It's definitely worth it for just 1. Whittling down the siege tank count. Ravagers do not scale at the same rate that siege tanks do. 2 siege tanks is an inconvenience. 3 siege tanks is a threat, and 4 siege tanks is a problem. The same cannot be said for like 3, 5, and 10 Ravagers. Ultraless Cavern is on the way here on Ultrala. But he's got to survive through this initial wave. Some Banelings. Baneling speed nearly completed. The Lings wrapping around. ByuN is not that close to maxing out, whereas SHIN is going to have Vipers with a healthy amount of energy and a maxed out army. In fact, ByuN, he's going to drop the rocks, but SHIN anticipated it. One very unlucky Zergling. SHIN trying not to get caught between a rock and a hard place here. But the Vipers, a scan, the Vipers are everything. SHIN just needs to live until the Vipers can come out. And ByuN's not going to have 2-2. With good Blinding Cloud, SHIN can crush this. He needs to go as soon as possible. There's the Blinding Clouds on the siege tanks. Beautiful fight. He can't see anything, which means the Banelings will roll all the way through in the midst. Takes down the Banshees, and SHIN just rips through all of it. Adrenal glands, or no. Ultralisks are on the way, but the damage has been dealt. The Banshee has been taken down, and ByuN will have to retreat all the way to his side of the map. There are Ultralisks in the production tab. And ByuN has nothing that will save him from the overwhelming weight of Zerg that is raining down on him. 11 SCVs dead. The boys pulled. ByuN has enough reinforcements that now with 2-2 done, he may be able to clear this up. Another wave of Corrosive Bell actually takes out some of the mules. Will awkwardly be able to chase down some of the Ravagers. But 77 to 47 workers. SHIN has 5 bases. The Vipers have regathered energy. Parasitic Bomb is the obvious choice. He will throw it out there on the Medivacs. Force them. Yanks in one of the siege tanks. Gets up close and personal. Throws some Corrosive Bile out. And for now, ByuN will survive. But he's certainly far from thriving. The Medivacs are entirely out of energy. The Ultralisks! A new challenger approaches. 4 Ultras in production at a time. SHIN has plenty of money. The siege tank caught on the wrong side of the bridge. And will never cross it again. Tries to take down the Ultra. SHIN is the type of person who will kill his own Ultra to free up supply if it's too low. He's done it before, I'm sure he'll do it again. That Ultra's targeted. Using the depots here. Throws out the Corrosive Bell in the mineral line. Takes out the mules. ByuN will fight with everything he has, but it's just not enough to realistically see him turning this around. This is not that sort of game one. He doesn't have the Ghosts. He doesn't have the Liberators. He doesn't have the force multipliers he needs in order to have some sort of long-term chance here. SHIN would have to really scale up his Major League Baseball skills and throw incredibly hard to avoid claiming GG in game number 2. ByuN tries. It felt almost half-hearted, that sort of attack. ByuN not really putting any pressure on besides the tank push. The Hellion Banshee did almost nothing, and SHIN just overruns the field. Still no adrenal glands, but you know what? When you're that far ahead, apparently you don't need it. All right, game 3, the decider. SHIN demonstrating his overwhelming macro, and he's so good at it too. That's the most upsetting part. Is if he just remembered. He's so good at it. All right, that's where we landed on that. Like and subscribe. Game 3, the final match. Pokemon. Wow. Wow, SHIN doing a hatch before second Ovi build. Is this how he gets the queens without Zerglings? Usually, so the reason why we don't usually see the very beginning, well, at least in game 1, we don't see the very beginning of the game, is because people turn it off. All right, the greatest thing I ever did to keep people watching, maybe you, even if you don't remember it, was start the game at like 2.5 minutes in or so. Well, like 2 minutes. Whenever the Reaper comes across. Because of our TikTok monkey brains needing action in front of your face and not just some dude talking in the corner. And why is his face on the screen? Well, because I don't always like to talk. Oh, that was not a good explanation. I don't know. Originally, I started commentating while streaming, live streaming. Started out just on Twitch. Now we do YouTube on the second channel as well, but so it was kind of natural to have the face on the screen. And I kind of treat it like a reaction video. All right? Now, sometimes, like the Zerg might break down the walls, but I like to break the fourth one. It also locks me into it a little, to use more modern terminology. Like, I've tried casting in your normal kind of tournament setup, and it feels like there's less pressure to keep up with the action. It's probably just because I'm used to it, and I'm conflating it. But when I could just zone out and nobody notices, then also you have more of an obligation, I feel, to constantly talk. I don't think that's true. It just feels like if you're not on the screen sitting here staring at things, it feels like you need to fill dead air. But there's not dead air. There's a game going on. In fact, there's a not insignificant percentage of people who would rather just watch. But I digress. So thank you for watching. I hope it makes your day a little bit better. And we'll see if SHIN remembers any critical upgrades this time. I don't like to self-reflect too much because I'm blinded by my genius. No. A lot of people say I'm the most humble caster. The most modest. A lot of smart people because they're in the YouTube comments, so that's where you know the real genius is coagulated. Hellion Banshee again for ByuN. He just runs by. He's made a big mistake. The Zerglings were built. He anticipated it. He runs around, takes out the Hellions. And just one Hellion splits. I don't know if he even intentionally split the Zerglings, but it doesn't matter now. The Hellions are ripped apart. The Reaper is clawed to death. And the Zerglings will chase back across the map. There are more Hellions on the way. He didn't yet flip over to the reactor on the barracks. In fact, he's just building a barracks on it. Roach one completed. SHIN leaning into the roaches again. Double engineering bay, double barracks. As ByuN scales up the upgrades and the production. Queens will politely yet firmly ask that Banshee to leave. Get off my creep! That was a little sad. It's been a long series. Combat shield on the way. ByuN clearly building up for the marine tank push. SHIN clearly building up to defend it. Now, last game, SHIN with a comprehensive and decisive defense. It was more than enough to crush what ByuN had on the field and carry it across the map all the way to a full victory. Now, every map's different, and those timings can go sideways real quick. ByuN's gonna have about a 30-second upgrade advantage. This wall off is beautiful. And those Zerglings are not gonna be getting any closer for now. Creep spread on the way across. Infestation pit now completed. Hive on the way. Clearly for anything but one upgrade. Now we'll see if history repeats itself or if ByuN is able to learn from his mistakes. Overcommitting against too advanced force. The Viper timing is everything. Either the Vipers are ready by the time the siege tanks are in range of something important, or they're not. That is the majority of the question here. A scan? Interesting scan. I think he was looking for an infestation pit in any other tech. Did he scan the main? He did not. Ravagers. Obviously, ByuN just casually strolls out of them. Siege tank count continues to grow. And single infestor on the way. I love that. Just one infestor can sometimes be the difference, especially as a stopgap. Ultralisk Cavern in production. A multi-layered depot wall from ByuN. Probably not a good idea, actually, but we'll see. Depots are large enough that Baneling shouldn't do splash damage to him, but if he does lose it, he will be getting supply block. Three more racks on the way. Both players really just building up into this full macro game scenario. We're pretty much going to play it out very similarly. ByuN focusing a bit more on the drops this time as opposed to a concerted push, but 2-2 is about to complete. Fourth base is landed, and a planetary fortress is already on the way. For Ultralisk in production, chitinous plating as well. The creep spread starting to really extend across the map. So far, ByuN. Oh, get over here. I said get over here. Well. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. 5 spine crawlers on the way. The double drop coming through. As SHIN battens down the hatches, prepares to deal with a series of attacks. Still, no other hive tech upgrades on the way. The Banelings. Infestor has enough for 2 fungals now. Widowmines have enough for plenty of Zerglings. Got medevac at the back. There are currently 6 spine crawlers on the map. And counting. Oh, well. That drop did not go great. The Widow Mines recharging as ByuN has a Ghost Academy on the way, but it's not yet completed. At Ultra count, 4 Ultras against no Ghost, but there's a lot of Marauders. This is a precarious position right here. Drilling Claws is done. Gonna help out a bit. That's a lot of Ultralisk. Chitinous plating completed. He doesn't have speed yet. He's actually just grinding right through. The reinforcements on the way. ByuN losing a lot of supply. The fungal comes through. And ByuN struggling. Just the Ultras cleaving through everything. The Ghost Academy's back here. ByuN losing a critical mass of bio. And the thing is, he didn't deny any economy. He didn't slow down SHIN's ability to do that again. And unlike game number 1, This is a unit composition that can just run him over. The Ultras will eventually just crush through unless ByuN is able to change the paradigm in some way. He's going to have a lot of Marauders. He's adding more mines. ByuN happy to just play defense for now. He's going to be nearly maxed out. 3-3 just started, though. So, ByuN... Oh, there is the Zerg army yet again. He's gonna spot it all. The Viper. So important here. Lightning Cloud. Lightning Cloud on both the tanks. Banelings rolling through. Liberators can siege up. There's enough Ravagers. The Ultras. Fungal Banelings roll in. And the Terrans go out. More reinforcements on the way. Another command center forced to lift. And again, ByuN might hold. And again, we have to ask ourselves that question. Have you liked and subscribed? And at what cost? As the Zerglings chew through Home Depot over there to the north. Another wave is built up for SHIN. And ByuN will have less to deal with it. He doesn't have any ghosts. He lost all of the siege tanks. The Liberators were taken out as well. It is not getting any easier for Micro Jackson here. Orbital command on the way as he's sick of losing things to planetaries. That one infester worth its weight in gold and minerals, of which it's standing nearby at the moment. Another fungal has been built, or has been charged up, and is ready to go, trying to kite in. The Widow Mine is taken out. So many Ultras. That one infester with enough energy for one fungal could end the game on its own. Well, it needs a little bit of help, but the Widow Mine's Blinding Cloud trying to force it forward. The fungal, there it goes. It lands. The Ultras will be targeted down. But ByuN struggling to deal with all this. He actually slips and slides through another round of Ravager, Corrosive Bile. The Widow Mines will recharge. Another Ultra and another wave of Biles. And ByuN will survive. But at what cost? He does not have enough left over. The upgrades are there for SHIN. The reinforcements are there. The economy is there. The Zerg are endless. And they won't stop coming, and they won't stop coming. ByuN has nothing left. Unable to turtle up. And now he will get beaten down. As despite my protestations, despite these struggles, and the literal uphill battle he fought on hard mode here, SHIN is able to take 2 games in a row in similar fashion and take the series. What? What a series. SHIN, victorious. 2-1, with 2 games taking less than the first one and probably costing both sides less combined. But Adrenal Gland's good, but SHIN apparently better. As ByuN losing some steam, unable to replicate the experience. And honestly, game number 1 was not exactly a decisive victory. SHIN clearly showing his macro chops and cutting right through. So hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully it made your day just a little bit better. And if you got the means and motivation, it'd be awesome to check out Patreon or YouTube membership. Thank you to our Mule Tier patrons. Big Jig, Devin, Dora, Kate, Mario, Random Guy, and Suit for bringing in those extra minerals. But I hear liking and subscribing is still free. At least for now. So, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Good luck. Have fun. Stay chill. I don't know why he doesn't. I don't know what he's doing. It has to be trolling at this point.